Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect, a an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, artwork to create, please consider supporting my work. All the links will be under the video description. And if you're all wondering where to get all these beautiful pyramids and protective pyramids and EMF protection and paintings and drawings and business card holders, candles. Oh my. AlleyCatCreations211.com is my website. You can look at the plethora of artwork, the plethora of everything that's there. And if you're interested in any of it, please email me. 3D memberships is a really great way to contribute to this channel. You guys get free oracle readings once a week. And much more is coming. Raffles is once I get back on my feet, and it's slowly starting to happen. I don't make much, but what I make, I try to set aside, and I'm still catching up on things that I have 3 months of bills that are backed up. So we're getting there. But if you're interested in a channel membership, you get free entries into raffles when I do hold them. And eventually in October for the 4-year anniversary of this channel, I'm going to 4D, which will give you some more content. Coffee is a must at this time of day. Today I'm going to read The Inner Radiance, Chapter 15, The Lords of Karma. Can't wait to see what goodies are in this one because the last one was pretty profound. Quote, "In the beginning was God. From him proceeded the Lord of life, the embodiment of the divine law, from beginning to beginning, everlasting." End quote. Harriette, Augusta Curtis. Quote, "The refusal to admit in the whole solar system of any other seasonable and intellectual beings than ourselves on the human plane is the greatest conceit of our age." End quote. The Secret Doctrine, Blavatsky. Quote, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." End quote. Galatians. That which we know as time has many changing manifestations, although in reality there is but one eternal changeless now. In those early ages referred to as the infancy of humanity, we are told that the Lord Christ walked his garden and talked with man and taught him the great mystery of creation and the great miracle of redemption. As we have explained elsewhere, the Garden in Eden symbolizes the pure, etherealized, superphysical body of man through which the inner spiritual man, made in the image of God, must learn to manifest in the world of matter. It was while his consciousness was functioning in that pure ethereal body that man walked and talked or consciously contacted the divine. But later on, as man descended more and more into dense physical conditions, he began to listen to and follow the dictates of the physical desires of his evolving animal body and mind instead of following the dictates of the inner spiritual man. The results of that disobedience to his higher guidance exiled man from Eden. And we are told that an angel with a flaming sword was placed at the 4 gates of Eden to prevent man's return. In the individual, this angel symbolizes the inner spiritual man whose sword is the Shikna, or the radiant purity and glory of the spiritual or Christ consciousness. which bars man's re-entry into the realm of spiritual consciousness until he masters and uplifts the selfishness and desires of the flesh, and once more listens to the voice of the Lord God, or obeys the law of God given him through his inner guidance. It is this inner guidance which continually strives to awaken in man a memory of his divine self and its spiritual consciousness. It also impresses upon him the sense of right and wrong, the failure to follow, which brings remorse. Wow. This is already fire in a good way. Cosmically, the four mighty angels with the flaming sword, which guard the gates, are the four Marahas, or the four lords of karma, who stand at the four corners of the earth as the protectors of mankind and also as the agents on earth of the seven cosmic Lipka, the adjusters of cosmic karma. The Lipka are the recorders or analysts who impress on to us invisible tablets of the astral light, the great picture gallery of eternity, a faithful record of every act and every thought of man, of all that was, is, or ever will be in the phenomenal universe. As it is the Lipka who project into objectivity from the passive universal mind the ideal plan of the universe upon which the builders reconstruct the cosmos after every paralaya, a night period of the world. It is they who stand parallel to the seven angels of the presence, whom the Christians recognize as the seven planetary spirits or the spirits of the stars, referred to in the ritual for the spirits of the stars of the Roman Catholic Church. The four angelic lords of karma are therefore the agents of the Lipka to administer the decrees of karma to this earth and its humanity. I have to adjust the page. We must never think of the lords of karma as nemesis or as Satan or as avengers or tempters, but rather as divine beings who tempt their karmic justice according to the condition, strength, and degree of unfoldment of each soul, for they have the power to hold back much of our karma and portion it out according to our strength to overcome the adverse karma or to enjoy the good karma we have created. Neither should we think of the lords of karma as heathen deities belonging to some other religion, for they are often referred to in our own Bible. Not only are they the four great angels who guard the gates of Eden, but it is they who are the recorders who keep the book of life, Revelation, out of which are judged according to their works. Also in Malachi, it is explained how sometimes even they that work wickedness are set up, they that tempt God are even delivered, until the book of remembrance is open, whereupon each receives his just reward. Having learned our lessons, then shall ye return, reincarnate, and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him who serveth him not, without the law of karma, giving to each that which is due him in absolute justice. God must be looked upon as a capricious monster without ever justice or compassion. But understand, this law is God, is seen to be a just, all-wise, and compassionate Father, who treats us more wisely and lovingly than any human parent could. The only explanation which those who oppose the doctrines of reincarnation and karma have to present is a stultifying idea of a heaven of innocuous bliss for the good, and the horrible, unjust, materialistic, and soulless doctrine of an eternal hellfire for those who made mistakes. But how much more like a loving Father who would not that any perish instead of the great majority, but all have eternal life, is the explanation given by reincarnation. Under this law, mankind, like disobedient children, have an opportunity to reap experience the conditions they have set up for themselves and others, even through sorrow and suffering until they learn from their mistakes. Instead of being utterly condemned to eternal punishment and without an opportunity to correct them and turn their evil into good. For suffering of itself cannot adjust karma. It can only teach the soul to recognize the mistake and therefore develop the quality whose lack made the mistake possible. World karma, racial karma, and the karma of community in which we live can to some extent be helpful by us, for we would not be in a nation or community where karma catastrophes were manifesting if we had no share in creating them. Hence, it is in our power to help to lessen them and to do something now to help others who are suffering from them. If we had to reap in this incarnation all the karma we have created in the last incarnation, there'd be little time or strength left to take up new lessons or advance along other lines than those follow in the past. For humanity as a whole, the lords of karma fulfill the will of the gods, or karma, by means of storms, tempests, transitions of fire and earthquakes, likewise by famines and wars. Nevertheless, in their great compassion, they portion out to us as individuals only that which they see will be best for us to experience in each incarnation, and thus allow us ample time to interpolate those new experiences which exercise of our free will may determine, that is, those which are within the general limits of our karmic destiny. For humanity in general, there are 7 great classes of karma, namely world, racial, subracial, national, community, family, and individual karma, all of which are inextricably interwoven and in all of which the individual participates as part of the various groups of which he is a member. It is important that we recognize these classes of karma, else we apt to grow discouraged when general karmic conditions hold us down, although we are doing our very best and cannot think why we have to participate in them. Sorry, guys. For the individual, there are 3 general classes of karma. Sanchita, maybe, I don't know how to pronounce this. Karma includes human merits and demerits accumulated in the preceding and in all other previous births. The actions formerly done serving as seeds to grow in the countless births. The store of former actions is preserved. That portion of the Sanchita karma destined to influence human life in the present incarnation is called parabola. Don't know how to get that one out. Karma, the actions of this incarnation which give pleasure or pain in this life alone. Agni karma is the bodily actions, good and bad, done after the acquisition of discriminative knowledge. It extends over all your words, thoughts, and acts, as well as whatever results your thoughts, words, and acts produce on yourself and on those affected by them. Each action may in itself be a slight, as can be convinced, like the minutest filaments of cotton, such that hundreds of them may be blown away by a single breath, and yet as a similar filaments, when closely packed and twisted together, form a rope so heavy and strong that it can be used to pull elephants and even shipping huge ships. So the articles of man's karma, however trivial, each of them may be in itself, would yet by a natural process of acceleration combine themselves closely and form a formidable parsa, rope, to pull man with, to influence his conduct for good or evil. Before incarnation, the soul is aware of its own karma and what must be done to work out the portion of it which is assigned to it in the new incarnation. It therefore works under the direction of the lords of karma to prepare such a body and such conditions as will afford the best opportunity to accomplish its main tasks and also learn its new lessons in the new incarnation. The lords of karma should therefore be looked upon as loving helpers whose part it is to help man work out and fully learn the needed lesson from every act, thought, and experience. It is they who often flash us a warning not to repeat old mistakes, sometimes giving us a memory picture in dream or vision of a similar event in the past which we failed. Yet, since we can see no outer reason for feeling that we are about to make a mistake and have not yet taught to listen to our inner guidance, we often disregard and disobey these plain warnings. It is the lords of karma who may be said to arrange events like stepping stones over which we may cross, the fierce torrents of our own disobedience and mistakes, that we may reach the goal of attainment set for each incarnation. Were it not for the inspiration and encouragement of these great helpers, we could often return to our Father empty-handed without having progressed, and so have to go over and over the same ground again in subsequent incarnations. For they are ever urging us on to overcome obstacles and redeem our mistakes and fearlessly face the flaming sword, which for the individual is entrusted to our divine self, who will never let us enter Eden or ever rest until we have redeemed our mistakes and learned the lessons necessary to manifest the divine self on earth. Since this divine self is made in the image of God, its task is to evolve an instrument or personality which will express that image in the flesh. This great task we can accomplish far more quickly and harmoniously if we recognize the goal to be obtained and under the guidance of the divine self, take our karma into our own hands and voluntarily work it out instead of compelling the lords of karma to force it upon us in sorrow and suffering because our refusal to admit it and our rebellion against it. This does not mean that we should call down all our past karma in an effort to work it out quickly. To do so is to be overwhelmed with more than we have now have the strength to bear. We should simply recognize the conditions as they are presented by life and pray for understanding and help to master them. If certain events in our karma seem to repeat themselves, it is simply because we have failed to learn the lessons they have brought to us the last time that their problems were presented. We are like children detained after school to make up our back lessons. The experiences of life point out to us just how much or how little we have followed the divine guidance of our higher self and built into our understanding and character the vital experiences our karma has brought to us. For the cycle of each life is not a closed circle around which we go again and again endlessly, but is a spiral path, which as a whole is forever climbing in spite of little dips or relatively low spots here and there. As the various points are reached on each round of the spiral, we meet the same tendency, urge, or force that help us to conquer, or else we might meet the dips or blank spots where the lack of a certain quality or unfoldment caused us to stumble and fall individually, nationally, racially, etc., while on the last round. Yet each time we are on a little higher level from which we can see more clearly and where, because of even a vague memory of the past, we have the fuller understanding and the greater strength gained during the last cycle round, so that this time when disappointment, sorrow, or temptation comes, we can conquer it if we will. For now we can say to ourselves, although I have created these experiences and failed to conquer them in the past, I know that I have the help of the mighty lords of karma and the strength of my own divine self and the Christ within to conquer this time. But I must hold fast to the hands, powers to accomplish, of the Christ, held out to me and not slip and fall again. For the Lord Christ is closest to us in times of temptation and trouble. All we have to do is open our hearts and ask his help, then take his hand and follow his guidance. We must never blame lords of karma for depression, sorrow, or misfortune, or think of ourselves as the helpless victims of the ebb and flow of a karmic tide, which is a fate that we cannot resist and which is bound to sweep us off our feet. This is not true. When temptations come, when mistakes creep in, when failures seem imminent, we should realize our own inner strength and the help that is ours for the calling, and determine to conquer these things now, once for all. After we have used this idea as a sort of talisman to turn sorrow into joy, we can look back and see that we conquered because we listened to our inner guidance, held fast to the hand that Christ held out to us, and refused to give up until the victory was won. Karma is not merely an abstraction, but it is a cosmic power in the universe, the scoring force which upholds and strengthens that which is destined to take place, both for the cosmos and for the individual. The destiny of the soul is the ultimate unfoldment of the image of God here on earth, and the re-entry of the individual consciousness into Eden. But the path which the individual chooses is left to his own free will. This is the vital distinction between destiny and the erroneous doctrine of fate or predestination. Sorry, guys, I have to clear my throat. Karma is not merely an abstraction, but is a cosmic power in the universe, the squaring force which upholds and strengthens that which is destined to take place, both for the cosmos and for the individual. The destiny of the soul is the ultimate unfoldment of the image of God here on earth and the re-entry of the individual consciousness into Eden. But the path which the individual chooses is left to his own free will. This is vital distinction between destiny and the erroneous doctrine of fate or predestinations. In the path of our soul has chosen the lords of karma, place those things which each particular individual must face and experience in order to take his next step in progression and unfoldment. To one is given poverty, to another riches, a very severe test, to another insincere friends or fame or disappointment or an ailing body. But all are needed for the perfecting of the soul to whom they come. We should therefore recognize and thankfully bless the lords of karma who patiently wait for us to recognize the law and accept their help as the arbiters, adjusters, and fulfillers of the divine law, which is ever adjusting all things to help on man's spiritual unfoldment and perfection. We should gladly accept as new opportunities to overcome, learn, and advance everything which they place in our path of life. For karma should not be looked upon as a punishment or even a burden to be borne, but as a messenger of the king who proclaims, "Behold, here's an opportunity given you to bring forth that which the Lord of life has whispered to you as a possibility." We should never say that we would do so and so if we only had the chance. We always have the chance to accomplish the next thing, learn the next lesson, and take the next step that is the best for us. And in proportion as we listen to our inner guidance and work with the lords of karma, the way will open step by step. If we see a step which our inner guidance plainly shows us much must be taken, yet which seems closed to us, let us look deep into our own hearts and lives and see what it is in us, or what is lacking in us that prevents its obtainment, not demanding that it shall come to pass, but praying to be shown what it is that prevents its manifestation or attainment. For our path is barred until we recognize and remove it. As time rolls on in its ever-circling flight, we must reach a point where the Lord Christ is once more preparing to walk in his garden and talk with man. The great lords of karma again bring to mankind an opportunity to take a great step upward and onward. But this step can be taken only as man recognizes the great mistakes of the past and helps to adjust their consequences. This he can never do by denial or by shutting his eyes to obvious facts. Only by recognition and acceptance of conditions can he master them. We have elsewhere detailed some of the cataclysms and horrors which humanity must face and pass through in the great karmic cleansing and readjustment which is now upon us, during which the negative, destructive, and other evil forces will give great power and strive frantically, knowing well that their day will be short. But we all have also called attention to the gathering of the angelic hosts, who are the reapers of the good and whose spiritual powers will be poured out upon humanity in such wonderful demonstrations of the Sniktha that even the materially minded will have acknowledged them. But when we sense this spiritual outpouring or see the divine light reflected on earth, we must not cry out, all is well. Let us go with the crowd and be happy, lest we be a joy kill or a kill joy. For all is not well until the readjustment is finished and the force of evil has been overcome by the power of the living Christ and his angelic hosts. This is true of the karma of the individual as the seething turmoil of the world karma of today. Let all those who desire to work with his hosts to help the Christ redeem the atoms of good set by the crash of empires, the sinking of continents, and the wiping out of whole communities and nations. Put on the whole armor of Christ, lest the froth and the foolishness of passing physical pleasures and self-indulgence, now being churned to the surface under the name of enjoyment, sweep them from their moorings. For we cannot pass safely through the terrible days of cleansing with which the lords of karma must face humanity unless we stoutly cling to that which we know to be sacred, unless we persistently maintain our standards of right and wrong, of personal conduct and morality, in spite of being laughed at as old-fashioned. The fashion of a period, whether of the clothes or of morals, can not alter the fundamental laws of life. To them we must steadfastly adhere in spite of the riotous clamor of those who cry, "Let us eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die." For we know that we do not die. We only withdraw from a time from the whirl of sensuous physical life, later have to come back and pay the piper for the mad dance in which we have indulged. Although the events of life may be reviewed and their lessons learned and great progress be made after we leave the physical, yet the karmic adjustment must be made on the plane where the causes were generated. And it is the lords of karma who face us with the results of our past acts and thoughts while on earth, that in meeting them this time, we may prove that we have learned the lessons by conquering them and so no longer need to be tested by similar experiences. If we have really learned the lesson, the conquering will be so easily as scarcely to be tested at all. This explains why the same temptation will be difficult for one to overcome and easy for another. As we peer through the gathering mists of time and feel the chill of the coming tribulations, let us realize that as we open our hearts to the light of the Christ and feel the glow and warmth of his presence within us, his radiant aura that enfolds us will prove an impenetrable protecting ring past not around us, no matter what may be transpiring in the physical world. Within the sacred precincts of his aura, we again find ourselves hid with Christ and God, in the mystical garden where the Lord Christ walks and talks with us as of yore, where he whispers, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord." That was intense. And that ends this chapter, but I say this all the time. Each of us signed a contract, some of us who are bound by karma, but not in the same way as this is being described. Many of us are volunteers, has done this dance numerous millions of years, and have come back to be bridges for the upcoming ascension. Our karma is a little different. It is based on most of these principles, but we also have to take into consideration that we are more the guides and teachers to deliver the karma in physical than receiving. Although we do need to learn and we do need to reap the things that we put out into the universe, it's all perception. It's how you experience things. It's how you alleviate these lessons. And everybody experiences these things differently. And we're watching the world crumble as we speak. And we're seeing a lot of unity and coming together, which is great. And it's wonderful, but it's under false pretenses. It's under, I have to be careful how I word what I want to say, and I probably won't say it. But it's under deception. It's for a good reason, but it's deceptive. So do we need to again repeat, or do we just ignore and walk the righteous path regardless? No matter where you are in the world, you're there for a reason. You're orchestrated for a reason. You're in your contract for a reason. You're around the people, the places, and the things that you're supposed to be around. There's always a purpose for everything that happens in your life. You orchestrated it, so take responsibility for it. I know many of us are having a hard time with the shadow bridging aspects of demons and the negativity that encompasses us, but it's more of an initiation than a test. And if we looked at our experiences as tests and challenges and being the teacher and being the student all in one breath, maybe more people would be on a healing journey that would actually encompass all of that. But it's really hard. God's an expression through each and every one of us, and it wants to experience itself with limitations and separation, and some of us with fullness and heart growing auras. But this was a profound chapter, and one that I enjoy because a lot of people don't quite grasp the national, racial, and other distinctions of karma that does play out in our realm. You chose your origin of birth, you chose your skin color, you chose your circumstances, all of it for better soul growth. Now, it's not easy to play that out in the third dimension where things are polarized to the negative, but we came here to overcome that. But go tell somebody that's living in a third world country or in some of the worst parts of the United States that that's what they chose and now eat it. Yeah, that won't fly over very well. But for whatever it is, guys, I hope you understand and really absorb the content there. It's very important. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within, be the shoulders, be the lighthouse, sprinkle and seed your truths. Light that path forward. There is a TikTok out for the first part of the chapter. Go like, share, and subscribe. Please don't forget to like. Subscribe to my channel. I don't know if it's happening to me, and I think it is, that there are subscribers and even channel members that are being dropped out of nowhere from YouTube. So make sure that you are subscribed, and I do go live Tuesdays and Fridays. So if you're interested in the live content or any of the other things that I do, please check out the channel. It's fun, and I have a lot of videos and a lot of content and a lot of books. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Wherever you are in this world, have a blessed and beautiful day. Bye for now.